Alright, welcome to the portion where we're going to be working in After Effects, and we're basically going to take all the rendered frames that we did and bring them After Effects to start working on some color correction. So right now I already have After Effects open, and I bring in my frame, which is basically the graphic portion, which I'm going to consider that the scene master. What I'm trying to play with in After Effects is basically adding a little more color to it. So in After Effects, I use some of the effects like for color gradient to bring in a little bit more green and help the blue out a bit, just so that everything sort of fits together, and add in a little color balance just to fix some of the tones a bit, and just get something that really looks nice and sort of really just flows together. And some of the other things you can do in After Effects, like right here, I duplicated my scene master, which is basically the same one, and add in a effect stylized glow to this, and I lower the opacity a bit because it's a little bit too overwhelming. But add in a little bit of stuff like this just to help out the actual graphic portion a bit. Definitely helps. And a lot of the glow stuff, you don't really have to do any of the glow stuff in 3D. I know there's a lot of stuff that we can just do in After Effects that might save a little bit of time. If you have an issue rendering any of the graphic scenes using Mental Ray, just use standard. If your machine is sort of not powerful enough to render out like 1,000 frames, just skip that and just use standard if you have any issues with rendering. I added a few more stuff before I rendered actually the final, like adding a few more of these little circle effects and stuff like that. And just to try to get like a, clean up everything, just make it look a lot more nice. Get a little more 3D in there. I have my particles, the little dash lines that we created earlier, and using the same 4-color gradient that I did for my scene master, copying that onto there, and just emphasizing a bit the glow and the color, just so that everything matches together. And you can see, going from left to right, everything pretty much flows pretty well. Using the dash circle, I added that in there. What I did is lower the opacity a bit, just because, just so it's not overwhelming, because it is kind of overwhelming. So you can just lower the opacity in After Effects a bit, so you can still have at least some of that background animation going on, just to make everything feel like it's more alive and there's actually things happening. Another little technique I did was I duplicated the scene master and actually scaled it up a bit so that I can put these graphics in the background, just to help some of the foreground stuff and look like there's more activity happening there. So another really quick technique that you can use just to help make the scene feel more alive. So this is basically some of the stuff that, as a 3D artist, if you really need to do some, like, motion graphic type stuff, it's easy to do some of the stuff in 3D, especially if you're not like a 2D animator, or you don't know much about motion graphic stuff or anything like that. I mean, you can do this stuff in 3D, and it's basic animation, scaling, and the only thing is the particle stuff, which after probably what you've seen, you can definitely take what you learn and sort of go into like many different directions, and especially making this type of animation even a lot more complex than it is right now, and add in a lot more different types of other ways to make the particles turn and build on and stuff like that. So there's definitely a lot of room to work with when it comes to stuff like this. So I mean, we're pretty much almost nearing the end here, but just to show you, the final outcome of it, everything fits well, everything looks nice, and we have like a lot of cool effects going on here. And we definitely did a really good job, especially with the particle stuff. Everything pretty much worked out the way we planned, and everything fits well. So we're going to basically end on a high note on the outro. I'm just gonna show you a few other examples using this, and basically we're just gonna sort of wrap up the project. So I'll see you guys in the next section.